Alright, hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to make duck tallow, and it's just like duck grease. We're going to use it from the wild ducks that we've shot over the years. And so right here I actually have a container, and whenever we do, like, especially blue-winged teal or just like a fatty mallard or fatty wood duck, I would save as much skin. I would pluck the feathers off of the duck and just keep the skin, and I would cut the skin off of the carcass and I'd throw it into a bag. And so I froze this, and this is about 3 or 4 months after season, and I'm out of duck tallow, so it's time to make some more. So let's do that. Guys, this is super easy. All you're gonna need is a pot. We're gonna have right here, here's our duck tin. Let me show you some of these. Some of these still have meat on them, like you can see that right there. There's still a little bit of meat. That one is more meat than I probably want on most of them, but I mean, look at that. We picked the feathers out. There's not much left for feathers, which is great. You don't want a bunch of feathers in there, so try to do your best cleaning it, wash all the blood off, and then stick into a bag, and when you're ready, you got a whole bag full. We'll just go ahead and process these up. Now, you could cut this up into little tiny chunks. I don't worry about it. It actually renders out super fast. So we're gonna put those into a pot. A half a cup of water right on top of that there. Beautiful. All right, and that's it. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. I got it on high, and we put a lid on it. Putting a lid on it is just gonna allow that fat to really pull away from the skin, and it's just gonna kind of render out. And the water in there is just gonna really keep it from burning. So you make sure you add just a little bit of water. You don't wanna add too much water, because when you store it, you can't store it with the water in it, or it starts to spoil your fat. So we need to get all the water out. So I just say half a cup for, like, you know, about a bag, quart-sized bag is plenty of water. We're gonna have to boil all of that off as well. All right, so this has been cooking for about 30 minutes on to, like, probably medium to medium high. And I'm just gonna pop this off here. You can see it's just boiling, which is good. You want it to start to render out that fat. So I'm just gonna move this here. We're gonna turn it down to low. And honestly, it's best to cut up all of your, it's best to cut up all of that skin. The smaller it is, a little bit better. That fat comes out of the actual, here, let me get that in there. It's kind of loud, but you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Just cut it up into little chunks. I'm just gonna use the scissors and just go through it all here. Just kind of clip it all down. This will help that fat really render out of the skin. And we still have water in there, which is good. What you want to watch is as soon as your water evaporates out, is you have the likelihood of potentially burning your oil, and you don't want that, otherwise it'll have a weird taste. And so I like to use this. We use it in cooking. I actually use it mostly in our products for, like, you know, skin use. So we actually make a lot of creams out of it, and I like to mix this with deer tallow, and it's awesome on my son has eczema, and so we'll rub that on there with a little bit of CBD oil in it, and it just completely goes away. So, but there you go. And we're just gonna keep that on low. We're just gonna continue to simmer this down, and you'll see all of these pieces of fat in here. There won't be any fat left on that when this is done. So you just want to keep a close eye on it, because as soon as your water is gone, you'll stop seeing bubbles. And then you gotta be very careful not to go too long, because it could burn your fat or your tallow, and you don't want a burnt tallow. So we're gonna cook this down, probably watch this here for another 10-15 minutes, and then we're gonna strain it out. All right, we are almost done. You can see those little tiny bubbles. I just grabbed one of these here. I'm using a scissors, which doesn't work the best. You can see that's mostly just skin and meat there. There's not a whole lot of fat left in them. So we're gonna have this on low, and we're just gonna keep a really close eye on this until these bubbles get really close to, like, when they're almost done bubbling, then it's time to strain. Okay guys, here we are. This is basically done. These little things are starting to brown up, like little tiny bits. Just getting nice and brown. The bubbles are really small. And so we're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. And we're just gonna let this cool here for a minute, then we're gonna strain it out. All right, so this is still just kind of simmering. It's cooled a bit, and we're gonna go ahead and set this up. I've got myself just a little glass Pyrex and a strainer. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and take this and slowly pour it off right into our Pyrex. And this is hot still. We're just gonna pour that right on in there. Let all of that tallow or grease just strain off of those little chunks of fat. Now I could have taken this just a little bit farther. I'm sure I could have gotten a little bit more out of there, but those are pretty crispy, okay? I mean, think about like making bacon, right? And you're cooking all that grease off of it. It's the same thing. It's just, imagine these are little tiny pieces of bacon, but you're just boiling them down and cooking them down a long time until all you got left are a bunch of little crispies. And that's it, right there. You probably can barely see that with the light in here, but there we go. Drip that all off. And this right here, guys, is liquid gold. Right there. And now this will sit, and all the little tiny pieces in here will settle, and we'll go ahead and pour it off, and all those little pieces will be at the bottom. So we'll let that cool. And for all this stuff that you guys have left right here, it's gonna be used. You can feed them to your chickens, you can feed them to your dogs. All right, so this is sat for about 5 minutes or so, and you can see at the bottom of this is a bunch of like that sediment and just kind of the thicker chunks the strainer couldn't take out. And so we've got ourselves a nice clean mason jar here. And so we're just gonna go ahead, slowly pour off the top. I wanna leave as much of that sediment down there in the bottom as possible. It's not gonna hurt it, especially if you throw it in the fridge. But we're just gonna pour this in really slow, keeping that sediment at the bottom. We're just gonna waste maybe like a teaspoon of the oil, maybe a tablespoon. And here we go, there's the sediment. You can probably see that now, all those chunks. And I don't want that all to end up in there, so we're just gonna leave that right there. And that's it. Liquid gold duck tallow right here, rendered. There's no moisture in this. This stuff is gonna stay good for months, even years in the fridge. And you can use this cooking, skincare. We're gonna use it in skincare mostly, maybe a little bit of cooking, but that's it right there. A great way to use our ducks up, okay? So after you cleaned your ducks, if you notice they have a lot of fat, I'd say pluck the feathers off as best you can, cut all the rest of the skin off that bird and throw it into a bag and freeze it until you're ready to do this. And this right here is awesome. Awesome in cooking and baking. You can make cookies with it. It's great. It's a great substitute for other kind of dishes. And also, it's just a great way not to be using like seed oils and stuff. So, hope you guys like this. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow along for more outdoor content. All right?